hidden, forgotten.
I couldn't sleep last night after that game,
Harbor
so I was up to like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm exhausted.
I conked out after about an hour
Harbor
and
Town
a
is an
half.
all-new series from Miniature Building Authority, the
They were
leader
crazy.
in tabletop gaming
It was
series.
nuts.
They were
Unique, flexible, and playable.
nuts.
They were
Harbor
really
Town
crazy.
will take your game.
I'm glad you guys had a good time. I didn't know which way it was going to go.
Yeah, I mean, I had some opportunities. I had one. I was an initiative away from ripping a tongue out. I just didn't get it.
They were a lot of fun though.
Tim was here comes Anna. Tim was feeding me and Josh Pop. Everyone was feeding me hero points, and they were getting all pissed off. It was really fun. Hey, Anna.
Hey, Anna.
Yeah, it was a blast last night. Good evening. Can you guys hear us? So, hopefully they can hear us. They can.
Did everybody have fun last
Oh
night?
my God, yeah. They all want to play again soon. So I said, well, we'll have another cannon fodder adventure in the future. I promise. So.
No, that stuff seems that's golden. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, Rock says more cannon fodder. So he obviously is listening. So that's good to hear. Like I was telling Jason, and I am beat. I couldn't sleep after last night. After we were talking afterwards, I didn't go to bed like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm paying for it today.
I can understand it. It was a lot of going with that adventure. It was awesome.
Thank you. Hey, Mike, what's going on?
Whew. I'm looking forward to which direction we're going to take tonight's conversation.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
I got a lot of notes. I got a lot of locations. I got a lot of stuff. Some stuff from my campaign that we've done, and some other things here and there. So, let me hit Tim early here. So, it can go any direction. It's cool.
I've got my FTA. I could not find my slavers. I just got the thing in. Could not find
Oh,
it.
yeah?
Yes, I never used it, so it's just a thing I've indexed. I didn't really rob ideas from it. I've done more of that with FTA and some of the other sergeant stuff, but not with slavers. I'm not a big fan of the Scarlet Brotherhood or the slavers.
No, I'm not a big fan at all of the Scarlet Brotherhood, man. So you're not. I don't
honestly,
mind them. I don't mind them for what they will do. I just.
My campaign, I don't use a word of it. I just.
Oh, Rocks. Well, we have some special announcement videos tonight that we have to view. Because if you think he only made that one video, no. So, but I'm going to spread them out over shows because they're all some of them are kind of silly, but they're funny. So I got the main one and I got one other one tonight. So, yeah, that was awesome. He's not playing with the full deck, obviously. As you know. But that's Tim. He's mad at me that I didn't get anyone's talking at all. So
Yeah, you kind of you play nice. Yeah.
yeah, Tim. It's cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get a Discord game going.
Good.
Cool. Yeah.
That's great.
Where I can have the voice of everybody and then put pictures up in the text area.
Yeah, that's a lot of people do that. So
Yeah.
you may have that's a great idea.
Something simple and try my version of expose people to the way I run a game.
Sure.
Because I've gotten to the point where the old style stuff, I don't even have people roll their stats anymore. I tell them. They tell me what they want, and I come up with a character for them.
Okay. Oh my God! My brain just froze as to what button I was going to press next. That's always fun.
Well, you always press something. So
I always press something. Yeah, hit the wrong button, or so.
Yeah, that is just amazing. Those minis.
Yeah, the whole thing is good, and he's going to, after all this COVID thing, he invited me down to his warehouse down there in Atlanta to play a live streaming game for him, some of his family members, and some friends of his. So, Kirk.
They gonna have you running it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. I
think
thought so.
Thought it'd be cool, but we'll see if that happens anytime this year now with all the stuff going on.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I thought Anna that we found something on from an adventure that wasn't on the map, but it was. I was surprised. And Gaspel.
Yes, yeah. I was like, oh my god, it's on the map already. So, yep.
That's a dungeon adventure, isn't it?
Dungeon 30. Yeah, it's not that long ago I ran it. It's number 753, so it's only 130.
Oh,
That's like yesterday for you. Yeah. Last week maybe, or last month. Yeah.
So, hey Wu-Tang. Oh, of course, because this is how this is our Lord Gazumba channel shtick. So very shortly, we're just BS.
I want everything that you show. I mean, I want the miniatures. I want the dice. This is so cool.
Well, I've given away a bunch of those Titan dice. They didn't do too bad for me last night. Cool left goes, and I appreciate it a lot. So, if you know, we were going to do a beginning with tabletop miniatures one tonight, and one of my two guests, one couldn't make it, and the other one was 50-50. This was as of Friday, so Anna came up with a great idea last week. Hey, there's this whole other side of the map. We were talking Wild Coast that we haven't even discussed, so bingo. So Anna and Jason are kind enough to come on tonight. I think it's a good one, so hopefully everybody's doing well this evening.
This is a real developed area as far as setting information. Like I say, I don't like slavers, but there's a lot of stuff in there about this area.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's a lot of great stuff in this area.
And Sergeant really put his hand in here, and he put in a lot of adventure ideas.
And there's some old source things here. I mean, it's a lot of Sergeant stuff, correct? But there's some old source stuff. So.
And we cross over into the Moor era too, with the Starkarns and Lysander the Mad.
Oh God! And Don't say it. Say the third one, please.
All right.
If you do, I may turn into. I may turn into a mongrel right here and now. So, oh my God. I know it's going to come up because Gary Julian said, "Oh, you have to talk about it for the better or worse." I said, "No, I don't." But we will. Yeah. Oh my God, it's so awful. So.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that era. It's just.
I'm a fan of almost anything. It's just some things are just don't make sense and just ruin a great lore. But we can talk about that tonight. I think we owe everyone a fair discussion on it. Because maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I got blinders on when it comes to, Darrow in a big cigar box. So yeah. All right, 1 minute before 7:30. Here we come. Good evening, everyone. How are you tonight? Good evening. Sorry if I'm acting a little weird. I am beat. I couldn't sleep after that game last night.
That was, you had one hell of an evening. That was awesome.
Oh, thank you so very much.
It was awesome. Yeah.
That was.
How long did that go for?
Oh, I didn't log. I think till 1 o'clock in the morning. We did Treasure Division online and everything, and
Yeah, it was like 10:30 or something at night when I popped in afterwards for like 10 minutes just to say hi.
right,
And that was
and
like 10:30 my time. So
yeah.
yeah.
So hey, Seeker, and good evening. I'm Jay Killer Gazumba, and I got Anna Meyer with me. I got a lot of Anna's maps tonight because we're going to need them to discuss what we want to discuss. And Jason Zavoda, who put together a good reference set on his blog for this. So if you want to pull, there's a whole bunch of data there right off the bat. Hey Tom, what's up, man? Yeah. So I really appreciate everyone. I want to say this. I know people are just coming on now. Let's say this first.
Damn.
There he is. There he is. Last night was a penultimate viewership participation evening. That was crazy, and I really say thank you. You can look at the hero points assist number. I mean, it was insane. So thank you all for really getting involved. And there were people cheering for the bad guys, people cheering for the good guys. It was just crazy, and they used every hero point they had last night. Every special hero point that group used. So it was great. We had a blast. Yes, happy Mother's Day to everyone. Our festivities here are over. But thank you all for coming on. So tonight, Anna gave me the idea last week because we had to switch up our topic. So let's do Greater Greyhawk and Hardby, and there's so many locations outside of the maps.
It's a rich setting.
Yeah, Jason, it's awesome. It's a great area, and there's so many things you can do with adventuring based out of Greyhawk City, which I do, based out of Hardby, which I do, and there's a lot of data. So Anna, talk a little bit about if you can about just how much. I know you add stuff constantly, and there's probably a ton of stuff you're still adding and you're finding.
Well, yeah, not it's actually starting to wind down now. It's before a couple of years ago I added like let's say 5 years ago I probably added 100 things per year or 200. Now we're probably down to 10, 15 or something like that, and it's starting to be half of that is kind of dear fan-made stuff, like your dun mounts and other things that come in Carlos Adventures and things that the fan community added, and about half of it is things that we found, I and others found in the sources. And then there's some additions, tweaks and stuff, things that have been misspelled, and I realized that we had an analysis of Javan River in Sterrick, and found out that there was a town that was needed to be put on both sides, and there's some tweaks here and there, some border tweaks and stuff, but not that much anymore. So I'm starting to sense that the 576 map is for the most part is kind of stable now, so to speak. So
and that gets down to what scale, how.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we still, though, here's the cool thing. I mean, Anna, you've added a couple. One of the places tonight that I just found for you about a month or two ago, in the Cairn Hills. So there were still little tidbits here and there.
They're little tidbits, but yeah.
Yeah, for the most part,
definitely.
It's been there it is actually, but we'll talk about that. There's always there's so much in this area. There's so many different locations. They're detailed up pretty well. Good.
This is the area where you have more modules than any other. So and more kind of content that is tied to kind of old classic published Greyhawk material. So the others are more kind of written about, but this is more kind of where the action happens in a lot of modules and box sets and stuff. So that also gives a whole bunch of content that it's derivative from the happenings, that they're not spelled out on the maps and stuff, but they're talked about. Like an NPC comes from a place so and so, and that place is not on the maps. But then I realized, okay, he comes from a place called that, and then I add that place where I think it makes sense, so to speak. So that's how I derive a lot of my locations and stuff. They're simply applied, like a knight of so and so, and they talk about his castle. It's not on the map, but I put it there. So, and Great Kingdom is full of stuff like that, but also this area are full of things like this.
Oh yes, Sargent did not leave this area alone. This is he added a ton of little tidbits for this whole area around here.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, more went into those adventures, that we were mentioning.
Yeah, and we definitely will discuss them. One thing I tried to do, if you look above me over here, I tried to add every single Anna heraldry that's in this area, just like I did. So you'll see these
Yep.
scrolling through as well.
And yeah,
for
thank
them.
you for finding two that wasn't added to my heraldry folder. They are now added. So
Okay,
both
'cause
Goellner and the new Martin, that is one from the Greyhawk Treasures. I think that was
Oh
written
yeah,
about
that's
in there.
that's the same one. It's from Shroud of
Yes.
Carrying.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah. So there was a couple. They weren't in that folder. I was like, oh, I can't find them. Cool.
Yeah.
That's the one
Mhm.
right up now. So
Yep.
please feel free to ask questions, guys. Feel free to participate. It's going to be an interesting discussion. I got modules, box sets, Dungeon Rat magazine references scrolling beneath me of all the stuff that goes on in this area that I could think of, with a few exceptions, Jason, because I could just my eyes would burn out. Look, I put Star Cairns up, I had to, but because I actually ran that one, but a couple other ones are you're not going to see them up here. I want to know more about your streamer setup. One of these, yeah, of course, Nick. So we can do that, man. I'm actually a little embarrassed with that, because if you compare me to like Nightheart Gaming or Prayers Rejects or whatever, because when we did that stream at GaryCon, I was like, I have a computer, right, Anna? I have a computer and some
Yeah.
webcams.
Oh yeah,
Well,
that
they
was
have a
some of that
professional
stuff was-
studio setup, kind of. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not hard to get. And I could get you a list too. I have a list.
Who was it? Was it Joe Selby with that killer setup?
No, it's Frank Schumacher.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Frank.
It's
Yeah, so
his
there he
setup
is. There.
yeah.
Speaking. Look at that. Just as we're talking, there's Jimmy Duffy from Prayers
Mhm.
Rejects.
He has
That's
another
yes, that was who it was.
super
Yeah.
professional setup for what he's doing.
Yeah,
So yeah.
definitely. Hopefully you're doing well, Jimmy. Good to see you. Let me give you and Will a real kick here, real quick. So
Yep.
let's start with where we were last night. Let's start with that map. Now, guys, I'm going to go to a widescreen and I'll pop back and forth as needed, just so you guys can see better. So let's do this. And give 15 minutes. We'll have a word from one of our new sponsors, the Mongrels. Okay, we'll have a word from them in about 15 minutes. So all right. Here is the map, and here's Greyhawk City. And you look, it's smack dab in the middle. There's a lot of great content here. There's Diamond Lake, which is where we were last night in the Mongrels of the Putrid Tongue adventure with the Living Greyhawk Triads, which was a really fun time. There are so many great locations on here. Now, cut off above, you can see that little tip at that red tip at the top. That's Tensor's Tower is even in this area. So Grossick Rattle is here. Something of these are mine on this map. So, Anna, you want to pick one and talk about it that you see on this map here?
We have. Let's see here. We have
Oh,
one.
Jason?
Oh yeah. Well, one
Well-
that I'm kind of interested in that I've tweaked in my own campaign is Stonebridge, and the area between Stonebridge and Greyhawk, and we talked about it on some Legends and Lore and probably
Okay.
some Gabbin before, but it's worth mentioning a little bit because
Okay.
it's one of these geographical features that are kind of weird, because the Lake of Nirduv have two exit flows: the Salintan River and the Nessa River in the east. And normal naturally lakes don't have two of them. So
Right.
I dealt with that in my campaign, that I actually made the
There's-
part of Salintan from roughly around Stonebridge. There used to be like a narrow gap in between the mountains, and then you had the various small little rivers and creeks coming down from the mountains. The Grey Run is one that I actually added on the 576 map. That wasn't time or like room enough for the label, but it's from the Gord books, and that's little river that runs into Greyhawk City, into the Salintan in Greyhawk City.
Yeah.
And so the part from roughly from Stonebridge that is in my campaign part, the structure is built as a part of a kind of a dam to build up, and then there's the canal bit that is man-made part of a Salintan River from there down to the city of Greyhawk, or roughly just north of it, so to speak. And so the Stonebridge is part of it that the Great Kingdom started building when they conquered the area around roughly around the year 0, or roughly before then, because that's when they declared universal peace. They had conquered this area, so they probably started building it around like 600 years, almost 600 years ago, or depending on where you have the campaign. So about year 10 or so, coming year,
Wow.
they made up the plan, because that way they got an easy access between the Nurdiv and the ocean, instead of the difficult Nesser River that runs through the Nat Marsh and stuff, that makes it difficult for trade and not that much for strategic use. But Salinta, if you make that little canal between there, that kind of makes it work both geographically, and it also makes perfect sense to make Greyhawk as center, both for trade and strategic reasons, and the city makes perfect sense for so many different reasons. So I thought that was kind of a cool idea, that you can make up for kind of geography, physics shortfall, and you can also tell the story campaign-wise that it makes sense to have a metropolis there.
So this bridge is not the bridge that the gnomes at Grossegrottle made or enhanced?
Exactly. Yes.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in my part of the story is that the gnomes were the ones contracted to do a lot of the stonework and stuff. So they were contracted, and so they made the upper part, so to speak, and they used probably a lot of magic help and stuff, and then they shoveled out and dug out and used spells to dig out the, what is it, like 20 miles of canal. And once you get the water in, water can kind of flush out a lot of the extra, so to speak. So you created a man-made bit of the river, and the rest of the river down is natural, so to speak. So from
Very cool.
downriver. Yeah.
And
Yeah, I always have the gnomes very in touch with, besides illusion, with elementals.
Yep.
And so,
Yep.
like,
Me
would have
too.
done
Yep.
that work with earth elementals and water elementals.
Yep.
And so they would have been the ones to go to for that kind of,
Yep.
that Stonebridge building.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like Anna's talking about the Grey Run. Now, that Grey Run is a gourd. If it's big, if you're using the Gygax version of the city, which is much different from the box set version.
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if you
And Anna, that Grey Run is just from the Gourd novels.
Yes, yeah, it's not. Well, there is kind of a little precedent, because there is a small kind of waterways going through even the TSR version. I don't think they're named, and they don't seem to come anywhere. They just appear some watery features that looks like a creek or a small river going through the city, but it's not named, and it doesn't seem to have any inflow, so to speak. It's just there as part of the city map.
It's
So there's a little bit of, you can use that kind of feature in both maps, I think, in a way, but it's detailed on the Gourd version or Gary's version.
in this version. I can't even remember with this box set. I think the beginnings of Dragonlance was out, and I'm sorry to say that. But they give the gnomes almost like a tinkering aspect here, because supposedly the lore of this bridge is there's one pin somewhere on this bridge that if a gnome pulls that pin, the entire bridge collapses.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
Oh. So, they do give them a little bit of that technological aspect in some other locations, which is, I think, is kind of cool. But
yes, but I do not want to see them as tinkers. I don't like that Dragonlance tinker gnome.
But technology is one thing. Hey, Phantom, good evening, man. And thank you for the compliments on last night. I really appreciate it. Thank you so very much. So, Jason, on this map here, do you see anything that touches your fancy?
I have to talk about the Mist Marsh.
Okay.
Because Carlos ran us through it in his adventure during your charity run. And that was just amazing.
Awesome.
We took off. We met Lord Henway in the city, and then we took off and down the Sellet into the Mist Marsh, and that's where the end of our adventure occurred. And I hope to see more. We ran out of time. We did 5 hours instead of 4, but I'd love to be. Carlos is talking about us playing again. I'd love to be adventuring. All our characters are sitting in that area right now, waiting for more adventure.
I hope so, because I know playing with Tim is fun too.
Oh yeah,
so I'd love to see more of that. I mean, that was a great kickoff to the charity event. Definitely, and it's always a yeah. Tinker has a silly element. I'm talking about a bit of tech, like a Merlin specialty priest. Tinker's the wrong word there. The Mist Marsh has had a ton of opportunities. I have placed. Sometimes I'll take an old module, for example, like Baltron's Beacon, and I put it in the middle of the Mist Marsh once to throw a little curveball on them. So I put that there and just ran it with a different name in that area. But there's always undead, lizard men, all
Yes,
sorts of
yes.
stuff coming out of the Mist Marsh.
Bullywugs, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, definitely a great location. You can do, and it is vast. If you look at the map, like if we go back to this main map, it is extremely vast as far as an area goes. And,
Mhm.
take a look at the size of that. It is a large swamp. So you have all opportunities that you can do. And if you look on this map, one of the places Anna added for my campaign, Petrovsky Manor, Lady Katrine Petrovsky, she's kind of taken it upon herself for the city of Greyhawk to prevent incursions of Mist Martians onto the high trail. So all sorts of creatures and baddies. So a lot of my adventures in my campaign will do missions for her.
See,
In that
and
area.
like in my campaign, I'm big on Igville, and
Yes.
and she in my campaign starts in the cold marshes up in Blackmore, and she's driven out. So every marsh area has some remnant of Igville. I can't, the name's hard to say,
Yeah.
and so in the Mist Marsh is one of her old dwellings in my campaign. And one of the things that she did were these constructs called husks, and they're made from the wings of hornets, and they are these bizarre. They look like various humans or animals, and she's formed them from plucking the wings out of hornets and forming these kind of golems out of them. And there are these husk creatures, and they guard. They transfer to her what they see, and they guard her dwelling in the mist marsh, lost in the depths of it. So,
Cool.
all that the mist marsh is a really big place for me where I've run some. I ran a long Greyhawk campaign, so the environs of Greyhawk, there was a lot there too. And the Mist Marsh is a deadly, terrible place that I've worked up.
And it's a hop, skip, and a jump from Greyhawk City.
Yes, yes,
It's not far at all.
Yeah.
So
and you have all these places just really close by Greyhawk that are they're centers of adventure.
And there's another interesting thing with Mistmarch. That's another one that has two outlets that is not natural. So yeah, so it's kind of interesting that geographical feature seems to go again in this area. So there might be some, you never know, some magical divine intervention or something, or maybe someone dug another canal or something. I haven't dealt with that part in my campaign and tried to explain it, but it struck me a little while ago that you have the Mist March is another one that have that design quirk too.
So top of the hour, we will have a replay by demand of Tim. We'll do Tim's Congo
Oh,
thing.
cool.
All right, because Gary missed it, Jason missed it, and a couple other people missed it, and you be prepared to be horrified and entertained at the same time, if you can believe that. So, and it's only like 25 seconds long. So one of mine, and let me scroll through here. I love Diamond Lake, right in the middle of this area, because it's right in the map. It's a real shithole. Now, when they brought it out for the Age of Worms, I had been using it for like 20 years. These maps came out that were great for it. So last night when we did our adventure, and they had to go up to Diamond Lake, and then they had to go to a mine north of it, it just made perfect sense because I've detailed out a lot of these locations in Diamond Lake, including the legendary Tickling Feather, which of course is one of our own creations. Yes, one of the favorite haunts of Sail and Shadow Moon. So you have the circle here, and you have a lot of locations. Normally I'd have this circle on my map, but just me by myself, it's almost I can't run around the whole table all night, but you know what I mean? So, and move things around. So that's why I just did it via map. And I love that you can put this map into nighttime too. So Diamond Lake has been a focal point for the beginning of the Age of Worms campaign, which I know Christoph's real big on, but also it's a huge spot where our mongrels of the Putrid Tongue always raid into Diamond Lake. Diamond Lake's the place that gets beat up more than anything. And so there was a pic from last night. I'll just show that real quick. And then there's the Dead Orc Mine, and that's all crafted that's by Bill.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, that was used last night. So Jay, you've got fixated on the tickling feather last night. Nah, not really. I didn't get fixated on it, Tim. Come on. I didn't get fixated on it, but hey, what's up? There was a lot of weird. I mean, Joe Selby with Itza was that character's got a few screws loose, and that was pretty funny. So that would be a place of mine that I'd say in this area of the map that I love to discuss is Diamond Lake. So that's one of mine. So Anna, you got another one you want to pick in this area here?
Yeah, I want to pick one and also tie in Diamond Lake a little bit to it.
Okay.
And that is the little village of Hardride.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Hardride has any real adventuring and notoriety to it, but I'm interested because Hardride, first of all, I love the name because it's up in the hills, and someone can wonder why the hell have a village up there in the first place. But the interesting thing is that Hardride is one of these strategic locations together with Sourload in the east and Fort Lehman. That is the ground route. If you want to take the road to east to Ernst, that's the way to go through the Cairn Hills. If you don't want to go by boat or go south through Bright Desert, that's the way to go. And so it is a kind of a strategic route that way. And if you go from Greyhawk City, it's probably easier to go the southern route through Diamond Lake and then up and to Hardride. And that's one of the things that, and I realized I forgot to add in this version of that is on my campaign map. I've actually upgraded the road, and I've added a road from Diamond Lake to Hardride, because to me it makes perfect sense. Because then you can go the shortest route or the lowest route through, and it makes perfect sense for Diamond Lake to be a town because it's actually situated 2 days away from Greyhawk if you walk, or 1 day with horse. So it makes perfect sense. It's in the right location. If you can't afford a ship and want to go a ship ride, and you want to go east to Ernst, to Lakish, and to the west of the Flanese east, that's the way you go. So Diamond Lake makes perfect sense to be there. And Hardride is that little connection with a big inn and through service buildings, so to speak, up in the hills to connect you. So yeah.
I've honestly never used that location, Anna, and that's great. Do you know of anywhere that it's detailed?
No, it's mentioned, and it's written in on maps here and there, because I don't think I came up with it. So
okay,
because the name is so super cool. So
Jason may have a link in his Zavoda reference. If not,
I'm going to see here how many. It's in his in your index.
So
and
it's
okay.
Dragon 320. I'm going to see if I get it.
That sounds like Age of Worms myself. And
that's
might very well be. Yeah,
it sounds like that era. But that's cool. I'll take a look for Hardride, because I always love adding locations. I could always throw in something.
The Hardriders something.
Okay, cool.
But that's Elmister's guide to this, so it's actually a Forgotten Realms reference. So so that was like often it's a dud. So sometimes you find a dud, but the Hardriders are somewhere in Forgotten Realms. Apparently.
Oh, that's something. It's a shame.
Yeah,
I got all excited.
It might be actually. I don't think I came up with it, but because the name is too cool for me to come up with.
So Phantom brings up a great point. This whole area is littered with undiscovered or empty cairns. That's why it's called.
Yes. Yes.
Yep. Jason, you told me you've created a couple in this area.
Oh well, yes. Like if you look on my blog, I've got one complete, and I started another of an ancient cairn adventure. There's this guy who's come up with this wonderful thing that it generates mini dungeons. And so I was generating little cairns for the Cairn Hills. And I love this area. I just adore this area. This area is one of the richest for delving into the deep, deep past of the Flyness, because I have some of these tombs that are older than mankind.
Oh yeah.
So I do a very Cthulhu Hawk kind of thing. So there are some very dangerous tombs to delve into, that you open up, and at first they're a Flan tomb, the ancient Flan tomb, and then they start becoming much more embedded with the mythos, where things are distorted, and it's much more realm of nightmare. I absolutely love it. You can find almost anything. Like one of my cairns has been used by bandits, where they've taken it over to as a base out in the Cairn Hills, and they raid. And it's a bandit adventure. And then the other one is an untouched tomb. That one of the things that you can find is this. You come into this room, and it is like a field of grass, but the grass is made of gold, and every one of those lengths of grass, when you pluck it, you can use it as a +1 arrow, or you could
cool.
try to sell the golden grass. And
Very cool.
there are these 3 archers in the room that start plucking the grass and shooting at you while when you enter. So that
Neat.
it's one of it's a complete mini dungeon that you can find on my blog. But I love the Cairn Hills. It's just you can take the whole history of this area represented in the tombs, and just go further and further and further back. And they're all over the place. There's a huge mix of one era is in one area, and then just over a hill you'll find a tomb that is 5,000 years old. It's just fantastic.
Speaking of that, Jason, great point.
Yeah.
See north of Diamond Lake, it says ancient ruins. Okay, on that map. Anna
Yes.
placed that for me February of 2019. What happened there in February of 2019? Adventure number 847 was our first fundraiser finale, the Orb of the Elder Worm, that we did. And I think it's the first time you played in my game, Anna, wasn't it? You played Mario that night?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was the first time Anna played in that, and that was the end of our. We did the Orb of the Elder Worm. It was kind of like a heavy metal story. It finished there.
Yeah. And I dialed in, and everybody else was around the table back then. So
yeah, absolutely. And this is Bill,
in.
the Master Craft stuff. So there was an ancient mound that housed a white dragon, an ancient white dragon, an ancient red dragon named that our favorite person, Tim, Miracle the Chaotic.
Sweet.
Oh, dude, and he's a wild mage, by the way, according to the Apocalypse Stone adventure. He's a wild mage. So he got these out. He had all these beholders. It was a grandiose fight to end our first fundraiser. We in 2019 we raised $1,000 for. So I just wanted to point that out that we put this right smack dab in the Cairn Hills. There's the end. There's the end of the fight. The Iron Brigade, a lot of Knights of Ulick. Tim had Fensick and Leuven, and Anna played Mario. We had a blast that time.
Those Dwarven Forge setups you have, they are perfect for the Cairn Hills. Perfect.
Yes. Oh, definitely, absolutely. But that is all crafted by Bill. That's all made by Bill right there. What you see, that's not Dwarven Forge in this case. He wanted to do it up for that, and so hey, DM, good to see you, man. So it was awesome. I just want to point that out in this area that we did that. And one other thing, I think it's next. Let me point this out. About a month and a half to 2 months ago, I said, Anna, I think I found something on your map that's missing.
Yes.
It's something that's missing. And I went through Treasures of Greyhawk. Let me flip through and get back to that real quick. This is a great reference for everyone. if you can't buy it anymore, get it on PDF.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
You know, but the Shroud of
Drive-through.
Karine, I always pronounce things wrong. Everyone knows that. It's 6th level, and there's a map that details where this is right here of the Cairn Hills, and I'm like, oh, cool. And there's a logo for heraldry.
mhm.
So Anna has added Martin's heraldry to her list and the location of this on her 576 map. So
Yep.
yeah, and I was like, cool, I found something. But it's a great adventure. There's a lot of great adventures in there, but this is, I think, the only one that takes place in this area that we're talking about. So something, it's not long, but it's something cool, guys. If you want something a little different, let me scan through and see if I can get to his heraldry real quick here that you did. There, that one. That one right there. So
And it didn't have any colors in the. It was just a black and white sketch, so I had to add the colors. But I took a little bit of the. I assume because this is an old thing that was there long before the Great Kingdom came and made it into. So I assumed it was flan, and I wanted the green, and then I used the yellow and the black just to tie it into a little bit to the Greyhawk area and these kind of old flan markings on it, and also because the Duchy of 10, that is the only real flan, has using the orange and the red in it. So I tied it in. That's why I chose the colors I did for
it's
the
cool.
shield.
It's brilliant. I mean, and right off of that, just that sketch, you created a whole heraldry symbol that really only existed there, and now it's in the game on the map
Yep,
in that
and it's in
area.
my Greyhawk folder of heraldry.
Oh
I added
yes,
them today. So yep.
Yeah.
I love heraldry. I just
Mhm.
it's
Me
just
too.
adds so much to the game.
Yep.
So anything else we want to discuss in this area before we move on to the next area? Oh, what?
Well,
So go ahead, Jason. Go ahead.
well, let me before we move on from the Carn Hills, I just you can add. I mean, for me, there's this richness. It adds. There's for something about the Carn Hills seems to attract in my game. All these people want to create these tombs there, and so there's old flan, but there's also Iridian tombs from the time when they came down and seized Greyhawk, and then there's old Sewell tombs that are in
Mhm.
there too. And
Yeah.
I love a Sewell tomb. I really do.
Yeah.
I've written an entire novella about a Sewell tomb.
Yeah.
And I just find this area, it is, we play Dungeons and Dragons, and it is the dungeons, it is these tombs,
Yeah.
that they can be as deep or as intricate or small little things as you want. They can be little side treks. You can have these adventures fighting off tomb robbers. I just love the Carn Hills.
Yeah.
Just have to say it's one of my favorite areas outside Greyhawk.
Yeah, and it's one of these. If you look at the geography of the Flannies, it's kind of an obvious crossroads. So you can tell that people from time memorial have gone back and forth, and if you want to go from one end of the continent to the other, you often have to pass through there. That's the choke point. It's a bit like Istanbul and the Bosporus and stuff in the real world. It's has that location where it's a crossroad between east and west, just like the Bramblewood Gap with Thornwood is another one of these kind of natural choke points where trade and flows of goods and people and ideas and culture and adventures, whatever, will pass through. And the Cairn Hills and the Greyhawk area and that is another one of these. So it makes perfect sense to have things from different ages and stuff like that popping up.
See, now I've toyed with placing this in Zeif, but I also like a different version in the Carn Hills. Is that
Yeah.
Gygax wrote an entire adventure called Necropolis,
Mm-hmm.
very Earth Egyptian kind of thing. but still, it's something that Zeif for me is very Egyptian, but I want somewhere in the Carn Hills a city of the dead that centers. There's something about like talking about Istanbul that the Carn Hills attracts all this people passing through, and yet it is not a place where you're going to find a city of living people. Somewhere in there, I feel there should be buried a city of the dead, a necropolis. And I'd really like to use Gygax's version of, interpret it for an ancient, pre-Flan necropolis sitting there, attracting all these tomb builders from later on. I just love that area.
I love all of this area, and I'm glad to see, Jason, that you love some of the area. You love the area, and even if it's Sergeant related, it doesn't matter because you're utilizing it and having fun with it, and that's a great thing. Just because it's so rich with ancient lore here, ancient things to entertain your character, your players with. So that's so cool. Now, Elmshire, I forgot to mention Elmshire real quick. Elmshire's on here because I'm going to tie this into the vid we're about to see in a minute. Last night, Andy's character Trash was from Elmshire, and I tied in a whole thing. And I don't know how they guessed it, but they guessed what was going on. That was amazing, and I was dumbfounded that they guessed the entire plot with Mistress P.
They're
who was,
hardened gamers.
oh my gosh, that was shocking. But yes. So XL just asked me a question about something that may disappear, a great landmark. And the next map in the Hardby area, we have one that appears and disappears all the time. So we're going to talk about that very, very shortly. But I did not get to rip out anyone's tongue last night like I wanted to. Okay, and Tim did all this work to make this special video for when this happened, and it was kind of upsetting to him that it didn't happen. So please know, yeah. So ready, all right. I'm just gonna play it.
Enough of this shit. Give me your tongue. Thanks for the lick.
Yeah, he's got this 3 screws. Tim Snuffield, Gary said. Yeah,
that is beautiful.
And the gagging noises is his daughter's doing that. So he's got his daughter involved even in that and all. And he did the blood and the tongue and oh my gosh. So yes, yeah, that adorable city state. All right. So
that's so city state. Yeah.
That is Tim for us here. Let me go to the next area. Let me just set this up so it pops up automatically, defaults to this, and that will be Hardby. Okay.
Oh yes.
Outside of Hardby to the southeast. Flip, please. There. Oh shoot, I missed. It missed. 1 sec. Let me just go back and forth. I gotta do this 1 second. Let me go back. There we go. It didn't work. All right, let me flip through this. So Hardby to the southeast has a lot of locations. And okay, XL, if you see, look down southeast of Fishtown along the Ghost Tower of Inverness is right here. All right, so I just recently played this about 200 adventures ago, so it wasn't.
I just did that 200 adventures.
Yeah, roughly.
That's just so.
Yeah.
The Ghost Tower of Inverness is a great. Well, it is because I've done 878 adventures, so
that's amazing. That is just absolutely.
So
I mean,
you have some great areas here that during certain storms, the Ghost Tower will appear. Okay, and only for a limited amount of time. So if you have a Hardby campaign, which I have with multiple adventurers, multiple adventuring groups, and they're going up and down. One time they were going by this and there was a massive storm and they actually saw it. and this was Adventures before, and they're like, "What the heck's that?" Because my guys they don't know what day of the week it is. So most of the time, and they're like, "Oh my God, there's a keep there that just appeared." So there, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. So they didn't know it was the Ghost Tower of Inverness because my guys don't know. And then we had never played it, and so we played that, and I call that recently. I'll have to take a look. So there's the keys. Yeah. So the Ghost Tower of
Yeah.
Inverness is right there as a appearing location. Perfect for you to do something in your campaign. So yes, yes, Gary. There's a hitchhiker or some other vagrant that Tim found that is missing a tongue. Absolutely. Tim's not that way though. Tim's nice. You guys, either of you guys ever run Ghost Tower of Inverness? No.
I have never run it.
Oh my
You know
gosh.
me and running. I don't run modules, so I'm
Oh.
terrible at that. So, but I've read it a little bit, and it's one of these. Was it one of these competition modules that
Yeah,
was introduced into Greyhawk? I think. Yeah.
I owned Lauren Schick's Game Master copy of the tournament version briefly. And I still have a copy of it floating around somewhere, and I have never run that module.
Oh my
but
gosh.
It was not a Greyhawk adventure to start.
It's an old school. It's C2, way back. It's on my wall of fame. It's got the chessboard problem. It's got all these some things you got to use your head on. There's a picture.
There it is. Yeah.
So run it. Don't rush through it. That's the one thing I can suggest if you play it. The Soul Gem is insane, Gary, and you need to have a reason. And but if you're running Hardby adventuring, even Greyhawk City adventuring, it's not far away. I'm just saying, I really love that adventure, and I waited until 2000 and I don't know 2010 or 11 to run it. Think about that.
Wow.
So it was a long So you pick your spots on things. So that was one of them in the area. So let me go back to the big map here. I just wanted to answer Excel's question about is it what kind of major area, and it could be other things, but that was a good point. Now on this map, you also have Storm Keep, you have Fishtown, you have Oars, you have the High Pass, all great stories. You have One Ford, you have Bright Tower Keep. You have just great locations.
Peculiar Manor.
Yes, you do have Peculiar Manor too.
Yes.
Absolutely, yeah. All right, pick one and discuss for us. Why don't you go?
Well, the Peculiar Manor is some that I haven't used it myself in my gaming, but back in the day we played Slavers with one of my friends running it, and so we went to the Peculiar Manor, and was it Dame something? I forgot. This is
Gold?
like 40 years. Yeah, Dame Gold. Yeah, this is like 38 years ago or something when we ran it, or 35 at least. And we played Peculiar Manor, and you were invited to something. So I always remember it from the Slavers, and we so I had to put it on the map. So that was one of these kind of really kind of locations that I kind of. It's cool, and it also makes perfect sense to have keeps along the river. So yeah.
It is definitely a cool place. I like Oars because from Oars is a fishing village, but Oars, they make something there. And in your in course of roleplay with Hardby, and I believe this is in the Slavers reference. It's either Slavers or I don't think it's in. I don't think it's in From the Ash. I think it's in the Slavers reference.
Yeah,
they
I
have
think
the
so too.
Oars like crossbow, which is automatically masterwork, equivalent of a masterwork. It's non-magical, and the bolts when they hit have the ability that it's a special ability. I don't know if everyone would utilize it, but you really want to pull them out and take extra damage from them. So it's kind of a cool effect that you can get in course of roleplay. Have your characters, a light crossbow person. He really wants an Oars like crossbow to get his hands on one of these. So I like that. That's cool. How about you, Jason? What do you got in this area?
Oh, well, Hardby, my God. Hardby is the opposite of Safeton. And they are almost like sister cities, and they fight all the time. and I ran a mini campaign that was mostly like a wargaming campaign with the Amazons and the Hardby Marines and the Sorcerers, because the Hardby is just such a cool city, because Hardby is run by Despotrix, who is a powerful sorceress. Now, she is beholding to Greyhawk City, but the Hardby people will go down to the last man and woman for their freedom. If they can't pay off Greyhawk, they're not going to submit. But Safeton, they hate Safeton, and they've had, if you follow the Gord novels, Safeton has been raided. These characters that serve the Circle of Eight, they've raided Safeton. They've had their family killed and captured and ransomed from Safeton. So in my campaign, the Hardby Marines and Amazons, they sail down to Safeton and attack the docks. And there's a massive battle that I had down there with the Marines pouring over the docks and the Safeton irregular troops and the trying to defend it. I had a blast with it. I just love Hardby. It was, it is such a, it is for me, it's a very orderly city. They're I don't use alignment, but they're very lawful people in Hardby, and they're tough as nails. So everybody is very proud of the Amazon troops, and they're like the elite riders, the Amazons, and the Hardby Marines. They're men and women. They are the toughest of the tough of the Hardby sea folk. And the sailors in Hardby, they are a rough and tumble bunch. I just love that city.
And this is all everyone Gygaxian. So this is pre From the Ashes, pre City of Greyhawk box set that
I don't use
Jason's
that.
campaign is talking about, which is cool. You're getting different aspects of time frames too here, which is really
Yep.
cool. So you know, yeah, Jason's, yes, Gary. Jason's pretty clear. We haven't so far. It's good. Yeah, absolutely. We're working through those technical things. Better each week, which is great. Jason, thanks for that one. That was excellent.
Oh, I love like I said, this area, it is just, we talked about the Wild Coast. This whole area is just rich with adventure. You basically, you just let a DM loose, and there's tons of adventure to be had in this area.
Absolutely. 100% agree, and I'll go over one shortly. Anna, pick another one in the area. We'll
Let's see here. We talked earlier about Mastrin, Pasquarel, and those areas, and whaling halls and stuff. But there is the one that I kind of used a lot is it's mentioned in Temple of Elemental Evil, and that's the village of Soben, which is actually, I made it into a small town now, and
okay.
it's kind of off the beaten track. It's the connection between, if you want to shortcut the so-called high road from Divers down to Furbolbonk and Celine too, and it's on that road where leads that's the connection from the elven realm of Celine up to its northern end, so to speak, and Soban, which is on the borderlands between the elven center of the Gnarly Forest and the kind of more human area around Divers and stuff. And I've used it as one of these kind of go-to locations in the middle of the forest, and they go there. And when they did the Temple of Elemental Evil and stuff, they had to go there and get help and stuff, and they ran there afterwards trying to seek cover from help from the elves and half elves and others, and so on. So it's one of these kind of interesting, if you want to have a location that is both elven and human and very foresty, and a kind of a forest hideout that is not that far from big city. It can be an interesting location if you want to have a counteract to Divers or Greyhawk or Hardby adventures that is only a few days away, and it's kind of, on the way you have Chorus State, or however you pronounce it, and Tricaster, and Five Oaks, and I've introduced a couple of others in between. So almost every night there's a little village or a little place you can hide, so you don't have to stay overnight out in the forest. So you can actually, if there's enough travelers, every logical night, so to speak, there will be a little inn or some little sheltered area. Someone makes that into their business to take care of travelers if there are enough travelers along the road. So
Gary
I've
brings up
added it. Yeah.
Gary brings up a good point, Anna. Where does the Wild Coast begin and end? I think so. If you look at this map here,
Ah,
all right, Bright Tower Keep is specifically there's a whole adventure there.
Yeah.
One of the Marquesas is in there. Okay, a Marquess of the Black is actually in Bright Tower Keep.
Yeah.
It's a cool thing in the Slavers. Karnak is actually, if I recall this from the writings of that I use, is under the protection of Greyhawk.
Mhm.
Helgarn is independent, if I recall. So I'm going to say in that area. I still think Karnak is, one ford and all that's not.
Yeah,
You know, so.
I see that the Wild Coast starts on the western shore of the Salintan, and the southern western shore of the Salintan, and goes all the way down to Hardby. That's how I traditionally have
Okay.
defined it in my
That makes
campaign.
sense.
yeah. It's that curve down there. I mean, people
Mhm.
miss it, but it's that
Yeah.
that curve, the Wild Coast. It's
Mhm.
It's long.
yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. Like with Hardby, let me go again. It's just Hardby has all this order, but it is a wild, rough and tumble town.
Mhm.
But they are tough people, and that Hardby is part of the Wild Coast, and like it is to me the sister city of Safeton, where there's chaos in Safeton and order in Hardby, but they're still similar. And I just the whole Wild Coast, I just swing it all the way around that curve.
Cool. Now, some of the really cool things on the other side of the map are there's some neat stuff going on there, and let me just talk about that real quick if you don't mind. So if you go see, I'm going to go to the main map real quick, Anna, because I want to show
Mhm.
something that I placed really quick here. All right, so we go to this map here. All right, you see this? What's that? The Jettle Run. The Jettle Run is that river that says right above Maynham Manor. Is that what that one is?
Hang on a
That little
second.
river.
Megas. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's
Okay.
yeah. It's the Jedel Run. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I have I've used that as for some things as well. I have a town off of the Jettle Run that is called Thunderstrike Villa, and it has nothing to do with the Thunderstrike in the Pomars. So I
Yeah.
have a small community there. We did an adventure in. The High Pass is really neat because if you in the Slavers reference, there's a hidden coven of female necromancers up there. And they're always experimenting and coming out of the high pass are all these zombies all the time coming down
Oh, sweet.
raiding the towns like ores, and they don't know where they're coming from, so it's kind of a cool. Oh, you're gonna get there, man. You're gonna get there, Gary. I trust me on the fifth map. It's on the map already, believe it or not. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So I love the high pass, and I love Stormkeep and the Mountaineer Militia. I love the story behind them. There's like a dozen griffins. Let me see if I have some stuff here real quick. I'll flip this
Oh
back.
yeah, we're into the sergeant now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can
with
I can kind of just I did the calculations a bit, and the distance from Bright Tower Keep to Highport is, if you take the walk the road, is about 550 600 miles.
Wow.
oh my
Yeah, so
gosh.
that's the distance. And if you take the whole coast and include Dragonel's tail end up, that's like 700-800 miles to go around the whole thing with the boat. Or if you walk the whole, but if you walk the road from up there down to Hardby, it's somewhere 550 600 miles.
It's
Yeah.
a long way.
Wow. My entire state is 110 miles long.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So it's fair bit of distance, so to speak. It's quite a distance from. So even those we think tiny little places like areas around Safeton and Fax and Highport and Badwall and the others that were small city states back in the day, even they had quite a significant area. They had some of them probably had a couple of 100 miles, or in at least 150, 200 in each direction.
Absolutely. You kind of lose perspective on size sometimes in the game,
And
which is okay.
I mean, the Great Kingdom made it to Greyhawk, and the whole concept of the Wild Coast is that these areas, these little city states, they remain free.
Hmm. Between
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
At least
Greyhawk didn't reach the Great Kingdom. That's why they were probably called the Wild Coast, kind of
Yeah.
named from the Great Kingdom, that they were wild because they were outside of their jurisdiction, so to speak.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So Stormkeep and the Mountaineer Militia are a lot of Griffin riders, and here's the picture out of the From the Ashes set, and it's
Yeah.
some nice stories there. Kind of ties into Karestein a little bit, but not so much. She's more independent, which we'll see her in another area. So, anyone got any last ones you want to talk about in this area before we move on?
I have stuff that I want to talk about that moves on. It's there's a lot of stuff here, but I'm there. I see our time is going.
Yeah, this
So
is what happens when you have such a great show, Jason.
Yeah,
Time moves fast.
I want to talk about the Gnarly Forest, so that's I'm
Oh,
saving.
yeah. See, and we will talk about it, but I wasn't. I put the Gnarly Forest as its own entity with forests, so I'm sorry, but we can discuss that absolutely.
Well, I already
Okay,
made an
okay.
excursion in there, so I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
So why don't
snuck away,
I don't have
so
a
yeah.
map for it on here, but
Oh.
let's see if I have one. Let me see if I have one. We can go. We'll do that right now. How's that sound? No. There.
Yeah, you got
No,
you got it.
There
Yeah,
we go.
well,
Okay, go ahead. Here we go.
Oh well, the Gnarly Forest. I mean, the Gnarly Forest. It's split into two groups because in the south, the Rangers and they're very loyal to Selene, and so there's a big half-elven population, and they are like the wildlands of Selene, and all these people who don't quite fit into Selene society, the ones that are more Sylvan, they are very attracted to the southern part of the Gnarly Forest. But in the north, you have these humans who are these human druids and these human rangers and foresters and such, who are very loyal to the Viscount of Verbabank. And it is a point of it should be a point of tension, but there is this melding, but in my campaign, between the Viscount and the people of Selene. One of the reasons that this tiny little Viscounty has survived is that the Viscounts have always been people who they get along with the people from Valuna. They get along with the people from Furiandi. The gnomes of the Cron Hills are very loyal to them, so that these rangers in the north of the Gnarly Forest, they are very loyal to Verbabank. And in the south, they're very loyal to Selene. So Selene has the eyes and the ears out there, and these are not tame forests.
No.
The Gnarly is a wildwood, and these people live in a constant struggle with nature and with demi-humans and monsters. So the Gnarly Forest, it's a wonderful place to run a ranger druid campaign. There's all this interaction right there with Selene, which Selene, being in my campaign a little bit standoffish, would be very hard to achieve. But these people interact with these borderers in the south, and it is a wonderful way to become an associate with the the elves of Selene.
It's further developed, Jason. And I know you in the From the Ashes, where they go over the whole organization of the Gnarly Rangers. It goes over their signals, some special non-weapon proficiencies.
I think
have
they have their own language.
Yeah, their own secret druidic language, which is absolutely. Plus, I love the Swan Maze too. which are Monster Manual 2. They have the Swan Maze of the Gnarly. There's like 44 of them. One member of the Order of Ulick, her name is Vina. It's one of Alan's characters. She is a Swan May. So I actually have one in my campaign, which is cool.
Yeah.
So,
And we got a question from DM221532, and that's a good one. And that's Rothkor. And Rothkor is the dragon that from the Gord novels. That is from the second book. That is the Artifact of Evil. If you look at the cover, the Gord and Daedry, I think her name was, the knight from Hardby. They're in that aerial, that little wagon, and they're traveling up in the air, and then there's a green dragon coming up after them that lives in the borderlands between Gnarly and the Welkwood, and the dragon is not named. I named it Rothkor and put the lair there.
Great name.
So the name is mine, but the dragon is actually canon because it comes from the book Artifact of Evil,
which is a TSR book.
That was the last one, probably the last thing that had Gygax's name on it, Gary's name on it, as they published. I think that was the last product he was.
Yes.
He was the publisher of it.
Really?
Before he left.
Oh, wow.
It is an incredible resource.
Yep. And so I thought it was cool. So I named it after I read that book, and there was no name. So I named him and put the lair there, because that's roughly, if you read the description in the book, that's roughly where his lair would be. So yeah.
Deirdre is a very interesting character. She's a female cavalier from Hardby. Her aunt was killed by the leaders of Safton, so she raided Safton and killed the leaders of Safton.
Oh,
I like
and
that.
she's a servant of the Circle of Eight.
Yep.
I love it.
She's a tough one.
How's she aligned? Is she lawful neutral?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. She sounds it.
And she's female cavalier.
Yeah.
Love it. I got a thing for cavaliers as opposed to
I know.
a lot of other people. Awesome. Well, see, look, that didn't. I was going to keep the Gnarly for a discussion on Gnarly, Welkwood, all that stuff, but it's great to talk about it because there's we're all over near Greyhawk, and there's so many awesome things. So let's do this here. All right, there's Thunderstrike Villa's adventure, and there's Storm Keep, and then we come to this map here. Let me just pin this right now, and we'll go to the other one. So this is the next section, and you see the Miss Mars, but then you see the Cairn Hills stretch way south here in this area.
All the way up into the Abor Els, another one of my favorite names.
Yes.
Yeah. And this is, oh my gosh, chessboard preview. I'm trying to get this one set here. There we go. Okay, preview update.
And this is an interesting location that I found out that From the Ashes, when we read that for last week's show, that actually the area south of Mistmarch belonged to Ernst up until 583, I think it was, when they was actually leased by Greyhawk. So the Greyhawk took over it and paid Ernst some of the money coming out of the mines and stuff as a compensation.
Yeah, so this is you have three Dwarven realms. You have Dumadan, Graysmere, and Caracast on this. The Griffin Riders outposts for the Storm for Stormkeep.
Yeah, and I think those dwarves was sent there to mine by the Great Kingdom. So they were sent there to establish mines and stuff. So they're probably not where they lived from time memorial. I think they found ore and stuff, and the Great Kingdom established them and kind of licensed the mines out to the dwarves back in the day.
I know one of them is extremely reclusive and does not want to be bothered at all. Gosh, I'm thinking it's Dumadan.
Is that Dumadan?
Yeah, I think it's that
I think
one.
so too, because that's why they have their own borders, so to speak. They're independent.
Yeah.
So yeah.
More Castle. Where's Mike? Mike is on. I saw Mike on there. There's more Castle. Yeah, that's right on that border now.
That's interesting. Also, an awesome location that has a lot of material written for it, and a lot of dungeon maps and all sorts of cool stuff.
Now, Mike and I, let me get this out of the way. Okay, Mike, you're on. I'm on. A lot of us have talked about it. You see all way up there in the upper right-hand corner. What does that say in that map?
Uh-oh. you shouldn't talk about
Says
it, I
Doom
guess.
Grinder, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get this out of the way.
I had to put it on the map. I
Yeah,
don't like it either.
no, because
Yeah.
the story is great. The story is that there's a windmill-looking thing sticking out, and every so many years, it may turn ever so slightly, and no one knows why. Right? One of
Yeah.
the greatest stories ever. It kind of pulls you right in. Right? It pulls you, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I want to know more about this." No, I don't. I don't want to know anything else because
I didn't want to know the start of it
Gary, I
myself.
told you I'd talk about it. So the Karen Hills module is average at best, but this is my opinion. Listen to the Mad is just crazy, and the Doom Grinder has got to be, in my opinion, it's the worst published piece of material ever made for Greyhawk. I'm sorry.
And it also rips off the Mystara module, Earthshaker.
Okay. So
Oh.
someone.
So it's not even an original story, kind of. Yeah.
It just drives me nuts because it's just a cool one of those cool blurbs from the ashes, and then someone was really smoking a lot when they wrote this. I mean, I don't know what. It's bad, and I don't know. I'm sorry if I apologize if I really upset anyone who loves the Doom Grinder. I can't. It's just terrible. So, and I know Gary, we're going to talk about that. But there's some great locations on this map. Can you tell me about Fort Goellner, Anna?
I think it's one of these border forts that the city of Greyhawk established in order to take control of the area, and it's so that's basically what I know. I think, and if you look at it, that seems to be the Greyhawk way of doing it. They have forts in basically every geographical direction except north.
Okay.
So that the Greyhawk Peninsula seems to be, to me, eerily devoid of kind of exploitation and settlements and anything, meaning there should be more there. It's a strategic location that is overlooked basically by anything. There's only one little adventure, and that's a Slaver's Cove up there that's there basically, and they're hiding up there because there's nothing else, which to me is weird because it's one of the best locations in the world, geographically and strategically, and it's overlooked. So there's an interesting seed for an adventure to explain why, so to speak. But otherwise, it seems that Greyhawk has this way they establish forts and kind of armed camps along its borders to kind of settle its or its claims and maintain its integrity. So that seems to be their kind of semi-permanent. They don't build big keeps and castles, but they keep a presence that way. And Fort Goellner is the presence in the east, and also because you have the humanoids and stuff a bit further south, and that makes perfect sense that they're there to keep an eye on the happenings in the east, so to speak.
Now, I'm not a big sergeant person, like everybody knows, but if you're using this, it is a very detailed. He detailed interactions and locations, how people would feel about various things and alliances. So Sargent really put his hand print down on this area, the environs of Greyhawk.
Oh, he did hardcore. I mean, yeah, you just see it in everything that's here, and it's a good thing because of the detail is impressive. It's done very well. And there's stuff that I'm always still looking like, oh, what is that? What is that? So I don't know anything about Hargrick, but it's got a cool skull as a symbol, right?
Yeah, it's one of these humanoid. Do you know anything more, Jason?
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, I think it's simply one of these humanoid layers that is mentioned and put on the map. I think it's from the Ashes, and it's mentioned, and even the heraldry comes from the Ashes. It's on that campaign map, I think, if I remember correctly. And so it was kind of cool. I added it there, and it's just described as a place where various humanoids hang out and raid and probably both because it's kind of remote enough that they're not being hunted, so they can kind of stay in that place, and then they can come out and raid at times.
Here it is, Hargrick Kukeland. Some 600 or so orcs and 50-60 Orog dwell in hospital caverns of Hargrick Kukeland. So 50 years ago, the tribe was 5,000 strong, now hunted by gnomes and were rarely by doors. Only this remnant remains. So there you go. So
Yeah, I mean, if when Gygax did the setting, the folio and then the 83 set do not cover details at all. It was given to the DMs and we did what we liked with it. But if you don't have time or inclination, Sargent is the first one to detail the setting. I mean, there's nothing like the level of detail except for Sargent. He is the first one to really take a hand to it the way that they took a hand to the city of Greyhawk.
yeah. And
And we had been
that's probably why I'm so
I was
impressed.
listening. Gygax had promised us the city of Greyhawk. He wasn't going to do campaign mashing, but he promised that we were going to get City of Greyhawk. The Plane of Shadows never happened.
Yeah.
Never happened.
Okay, one last thing. Did you ever go to a movie, Gary? Did you ever go to a movie? And we had this happen. I loved Highlander. Waiting for Highlander 2 to come out. Oh, we were all going. Oh, this is great. We got like a dozen people going. We get there at the movie theater, and they're on this freaking other planet. And I'm like, what the frick is this shit? Right? I'm like, how could you put this crap out after original Highlander? And that's how I feel about the Doom Grinder, okay? Yeah. Meanwhile, on the planet Zeast, yes, Dorgum, you get exactly how I feel, yes, about the Doom Grinder. I'll just end it right there. It's my Highlander 2 The Quickening, okay? So there you go. So I'm over with that.
Well, Gary can all the things we're talking about a new era. We had the Sargent era, and now these horrible things that were coming out, like the Doom Grinder, that is the Moore era. Okay. Roger Moore, and he had Gary. He had a different outlook. Sargent was grim, and Moore was low quality and silly. The Bond era.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh my gosh. Any other topics of discussion on this section of the map, of Vanna's great map here? I mean, there's some cool stuff. More castles on here. Caracas Caves of Sleep's on here. There's some neat things on this map, definitely.
We could do a whole show on Mar Castle.
Yeah. Maybe we should.
Yeah, that's a kind of a location with that has been developed, and I don't even know exactly what's in the depth, because the those kind of dark undercovers have not something I've researched. I need to dig into it now, because I want to start digging literally into doing Underdark maps. So that's something I want to read things like that. And it was also because I wanted to study these things. So yeah.
All right, let's move on down. How's that sound? This one's a good one. Make sure I have this preview update. Okay, so we get into a new section here as we flow downward. Let me get to the big map here. Okay, deeper into the Aberrals. Now you have a lot of ogre meat. You have the Star Cairns module, which I will say is average, but you can develop up. 4 of the 5 are marked. The 5th one, the magical one, you have to find during the adventure. A good DM can develop them into something that is pretty. It's okay. I mean, it's not bad. But you have Karastein's Castle here. Now, I was told by Ashur last night that, and I did not know this, and I guess Gary kind of confirmed it, that during Living Greyhawk, they obliterated a Karastein, killed her, and razed this to the grounds. Now, I'm sorry. Thank God I didn't do that in Living Greyhawk, because I love Karastein, because I use her as a player, an NPC a lot. But yeah, so yeah, Rari and Robblear did it, so that was kind of wow. That's hardcore.
It was part of the Living Greyhawk wanted to turn everything upside down, kind of. I think.
Absolutely.
Leave no stones.
Yeah, see, great. Mike agrees. Such a senseless waste, Mike. So she's here now, and it's in my campaign. So, Jason, have you ever, or Anna, have you? I know you have run them. Have you ever read the Star Cairns at all?
I've read it, but I don't remember
I've
it.
studied just a little bit, not much, but now I will very soon, because thanks to David Leonard's awesome article and that he started to detail it and the story behind it, I'm going to use it as one of the plot points and areas for my future campaign.
Yes, let me add in David Leonard's Greyhawk musings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It is incredible.
yeah, it's dynamite. He tied it in. Oh, sorry, go on.
Okay.
Oh, I was just going to say, I used his history. He has written the history of the Flyness, and it is a wonderful, detailed history.
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing, and I'll tell you, if everybody who loves Greyhawk should read what he's written in his blog, that Greyhawk musings, it is just incredibly rich and detailed and vibrant. And it is a wonderful history of the Flyness. Now, what I do is I have my players read it, and then I completely contradict a lot of things, so it confuses them. But that's my style. But I absolutely love the history that is created there.
Yeah. For me, it's I don't contradict it. I try to always build on what's there, so to speak. I might change details and stuff. And in this case, some of the story behind the Star Cairns was that there was an I forgot the name now, but there was a Sewell
Lysandrid?
No, not Lysandrid. He comes
Oh.
in some other time. Then there's a crater that I added like last year, I think, that was a meteor that was was supposed to hit his dimension or whatever it was, and there's now hit the Aberals. That's why there's a big, huge crater there. But that was I forgot the name of, but it was a wizard that worked in Sewell wizard that worked in the court of the Great Kingdom back like 400 years ago or something like that. And he was researching the Invokes devastation and came up with some stuff. And apparently he hid things that had to do with the Invoke devastation in the Star Cairns. And yeah, and then there is kind of circumstantial evidence that other parts of that is hidden in Rel Devon. And I'm going to take these two things. I'm going to take Rel Devon, the Star Cairns, that old mage, and the Death Knight's going to be part of, and the North Kingdom and the United Kingdom of Alyssa. Those things together will be the thing for my, not the next one, but the campaign after that. It's going to be the plot for that campaign. Yeah.
That's an incredibly Gygaxian adventure right there.
That's awesome.
Yep. So that will be my next adventure arc, so to speak, probably to take place in I will probably play it in like 3 years time from now or something like that, so I can research it. Yeah. And build on it.
So Anna, you're saying that black mark above the A in mountains is a crater?
Yep, that was
didn't know
meteor. That was a meteor. I forgot where the source was, but someone told me, and I read it. There's a meteor that was to strike. Oh, you said the name, Jason.
Lysandrid.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Lysandrid
okay.
had an extra dimension or something like that someone tried to knock out, and there were some big meteors involved in it, and one of them hit accidentally or intentionally, I don't know, hit the Aberals, and so I put that big crater in there. So
all
yep.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Wow.
Yep.
That's some cool stuff. So yeah, so just to go back to this is why I was really upset about the Living Greyhawk discussion last night, because I didn't even have a log sheet with Karastein's all the characters on them.
I want to keep some of the good guys around. I don't want all them all killed.
Yeah, absolutely. And they fly around all over the place, and they have some dragons they deal with, and they've slain like 7 to 10 dragons themselves, and and they've appeared in a couple jousting competitions and things like that. So I kind of like to have Karstein around for a little bit more. This is this pick is right out of the Star Cairns. There's a blade. It's called a blade golem, so it's fun. So there's some cool things in there, but they're disjointed and they're completely. It's like 5 separate adventures together. So have at it, guys, because it's decent lore, but you can work them up so that they're a little better for your usage on there. And there's some cool items in there. I know one of Alan's characters, Phoenix, is Fire Elementalist, has a Iron Golem little dog that he got in the Star Cairns. Yeah. He always uses that for back protection all the time. Yep. Yeah, so and he's a fire elemental, so whenever it takes damage or whatever, he just lights fire. He burns it, and it gets all just like iron golems, they get healed from fire. So pretty neat stuff with that area of the map. Okay, one more big area that we have, and then we can just bounce all over the place. This is a good one too. And then let me go to the big map here. So we go through this, and there we go. The bright desert. And there you see your spot, Gary, right on there. Ghazal is on there already from Dungeon 30. So I thought it wasn't, and then I look at the map and go, it's right on there. So that's awesome. But you have Rary's Tower here. Rary's still out there. You have
well,
okay.
I don't run the campaign you guys do, so for me it's Rary and those dervishes that rule the Bright Desert.
Oh, absolutely. That makes the total sense. So there's you can do a lot of different adventuring getting off your ship, if you have a ship in Hardby, and just docking it somewhere and then going into the desert. We've done that multiple times in adventures. Because there's been Ghazal was one of them. That's how you get there. You can either go by land down a track, or you can go via ship. So, and by the way, where are my notes? I got stuff everywhere now. Ghazal I didn't run that long ago either. It was number 753. So I was 135 adventures ago. I ran that. So it wasn't that long ago either. On that one, it's a good adventure. I got it linked up. But anyone see anything here that they want to discuss on this? Rary. I could never get my guys to even want to play it, and I wasn't going to force them. I wasn't going to force them to play Rary the Trader. So Rary's just in my campaign.
Yeah, Rary is not a traitor in my game.
Right. It never happened in your game.
No.
So
Rary is. This character in there where those dervishes, they will bow down at the sight of Rary. They practically worship him, and he is so powerful in the Bright Lands, and he could command them to do anything, but he's not interested in them. That is the funny thing. He could be ruler of this whole area there. And the people will do anything for him, but he is interested in different things. So he is not a leader in my campaign.
So, well, Dionysus, we're all a bunch of nerds here. So we're all Greyhawkers here. So, enjoying it's a good thing. So, Rary, it was one of those adventures, and we talked about this during our era on. That we had on Wednesday night for From the Ashes, and I wasn't happy when it happened, but I put it in my campaign, right? So it just was it's one of those things that you got to deal with. Are the dervishes Heronius followers? I don't know about that. I think that they are they on that?
Not in my campaign.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I've stayed away from the Bright Desert completely so far in my games, but so I haven't. I've tried to avoid not thinking about it, but I'm kind of interested in it a little bit from a kind of geographical climate perspective, because I'm working on to nail down the planet, so to speak, or do an overview map of the continents and stuff. And if you look at it from a climate perspective, the Bright Desert seems to be just a little bit north of where deserts should be, really, so to speak. So I always seen the Bright Desert as being the climate outlier, saying that, oh, it doesn't belong there. There needs to be some magic reason or divine intervention or something. Yeah. But the interesting things from a normal standard climate perspective is not that far off at all. It's actually Selene that is the weird one off, so to speak. So because that way, if you go a little bit south, like Pomage and down that area, that's where desert should be. if the climate follows the normal rules of Earth, so to speak.
Yeah, Gary reads Bright Desert's artificial. That's what I thought too. I thought that was
Yeah,
mentioned in the
that's
original glossography, isn't it?
yeah.
So
That's
yeah.
that's what I've read too in many, and there is like several different versions of it too, I think. But it's interesting from a climate perspective. It's not that far off at all to have a desert at that level. So large part of the southeast Flanies, the reason it's not desert is probably because it's so close to the coast, which makes perfect sense that the western part of the Flanies, the southern Bacloonish areas like the Paynims and stuff, that is dry desert, makes perfect sense from a climate perspective, a geographical perspective.
So
Now
Gary
there's
says Tharriston created it according to the Rary the Trader module, which
Okay,
is
yeah.
see there's these stories by A. Merritt that describe an area like that, and so for me, I use a lot of that for the Bright Desert. And there is a monolith in the land of black ice, and a monolith in the Bright Desert out there in the wastes that rises and falls as it's buried beneath the sands, and it is the source of what is draining the life out of the Bright Desert. So that's where I have it in that campaign.
Do you, Jason, mark down Gary the Scorpion Crown artifact? We got to get that into discussion on Wednesday nights.
My problem with that is when I was a kid,
Mhm.
there was this Avengers comic that featured the Scorpion Crown, and I just can't get that out of my head.
Yeah, so it's ironic that it uses the same name, but
Yeah. Every time it's mentioned, I see this green that the Scarlet Witch was carrying, and I think they put it on the Vision, and I can't get that out, and I just can't use it in my Greyhawk campaign. And I use tons of different stuff. It just doesn't fit for me.
So Xaris brings up a good Sir Xaris brings up a good point. Rary's either seen as someone he's got to, he's pissed off at Morning Canyon in the circle for what Morning Canyon's done, and he's trying to take back the Bright Lands, or he's a megalomaniac, depending on your point of view, right? So there's people on both sides of the issue on Rary, you know. Some people say, what he did wasn't that big of a deal, and others are like,
Rary for me is kind of like the villain in The Mummy. And he
Yeah.
can do a lot of those things where he summons his sand face, in the middle of the desert, and he has his own goals.
Right.
And I don't use an alignment system in my campaign, so Rary is Rary, and he's very much, if you want a character to base him on, he's very much like the actor who played the villain in The Mummy.
Oh, you mean the guy in the Dungeons and Dragons movie?
No,
Oh, not the
movie,
bald
The
guy,
Mummy.
Imhotep, because he's in the Dungeons and Dragons movie too.
Maybe.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's bad.
But no, this is the better movie, The Mummy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not
we
the
shouldn't talk too
sequel.
much about the D&D movies. They
Oh
can-
my
Oh,
gosh.
pitiful.
If I ever need a last second, if I ever have to do like one where I can't plan and I have 10 minutes to put up a show, we're gonna do D&D movies, because I can do that all day long. I can do that like boom, real quick there, so we get all
I
that.
should see them again if they're available somehow somewhere. I think I have one or two of them on DVD. So yeah.
So a quick side story. Retro Gamer Murph, he had never heard of Night Riders before, and when I showed him, I said, "There's a movie, where they joust on motorcycles." And he's like,
that is a beautiful
I don't
movie.
believe, and he's like, he put the link up. He goes, "This is really disturbing." Yeah, it is, but that's the '80s for you. Yeah, really cool.
That is a classic. That movie is just amazing. I love Night Riders.
It's a long movie too, and Ed Harris was bald back then in 1981 as well. So, so Ghazal, Gary was talking about this late last night on Cannon Fire Discord, and and we both apologized to Anna. We both like, this got to go on the map, and then it's on the map when we took a look at it. This is out of Dungeon 30. It's a good adventure, guys. Take a look at it. It's placed here See, Bill's busting on Night Riders already, man. Come on, man. You can't do that. You can't do that. Here's there's a ravine. It's a tactical adventure too. So it fits in well with. I did it right on my tabletop, and I created this ravine and all. It's a really cool. Bishop's watching it. That's awesome. It's a really cool adventure. So like I said, get a hold of Dungeon 30. Here's the map from Dungeon 30 showing the locations that you go from. And look, even Hardby's on this map, and it's just really, that's how old this is. Look, there's nothing between Hardby and that area of the desert when you go back that far, but they just put it up there. So it's a good adventure, guys. Check it out. It's pre-slavers. So it's about slavery, but it's not about the slavers' slavery. It's about different slavery, and it's definitely yes, one of the few dungeon Greyhawk adventures where Paizo took over. Absolutely, and so they're very few and far between, and that's why I like to bring them up. This and Noel Dare last week, I try to bring these up.
Issue 30 would have been 2E, so that's probably a 2E AD&D adventure.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so
we've talked about movies, and I'd like to just jump in because we're moving out of the locales. Just the Aberalls. Okay, I have these tough hillmen that live there, but beneath the ground, I have stolen from the 13th Warrior that there is this underground race of early Flan that have lived there for centuries. And they are this cannibalistic race, and they have they've awakened this force that has caused them to breed in huge numbers, and they are pouring out of the Aberalls in that great stream of fire that you saw in the 13th Warrior, and sacking various cities headed toward Hardby, and that's one of the adventures that I've done in the past. But I love stealing from movies.
Yeah, that was the flame worm, right? They called it the flame worm in that.
The fire dragon, yes.
Yeah. If I hear one more time from my guys during a combat situation, we fight by twos. If I hear that again, I'm going to go postal, okay? Because every time I hear that from that movie, we fight by twos. So yeah, fireworm. Bill says, yeah. So like I said, I got the poster on my wall. I got that, then Excalibur, then Night Riders, one after another, right on my wall on the one side. So. Yes.
For me, the 13th Warrior is one of those perfect movies that I love beginning to end.
It is definitely, and I love to see that you took something from, it's still subjective as to like were they like just barbarians, Neanderthals that you don't even know in that, and that's cool that you made them like old Flan.
Yes.
So like
yes.
Yeah. That's cool. Where do you know like near what they were in your game? Were they near any of the dwarven locations, or?
I had them near the south, toward the Bright Desert.
So it's further south. It's on this map here.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You had them right in that big.
Oh yes.
The big hole in the ground right there. That is so awesome. That's cool, dude. I never knew that about your campaign. That's neat.
Well, 40 years I've done this, I've done that. This campaign is my 5th major, but it's been curtailed. So I really want to start up again and do a Discord game and try my system out. Hope people like it. And I think we can do it with voice and maps if I've got better connection than I have now.
I think you can, man. That's what Discord is. If you're not worried about streaming it, yeah, definitely.
No, this won't be this stream. This is going to be. I love your setup, but I'm going to have to do more theater of the mind.
It's okay. Doesn't matter how you play. Doesn't matter what edition, as long as you play the game, right? That's all that matters.
Yep.
So Anna, any of these spots that you want to talk about that we kind of passed over or missed? I have one that we really didn't talk about that I want to go back to.
Please continue with that. Yeah.
All right, let's go back to the beginning here. And I don't know how we missed it, and I don't want to talk about the entire module, but how did we miss not even talking about the ruins of Greyhawk right outside Greyhawk City, right?
Yeah.
So there were so many different versions of it. You have your original adventure, then you have the Ruins of Greyhawk, then you have what Alan
You mean the
Growe's got.
comical module?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Castle Greyhawk, which it's been panned on here during this discussion about 12 times already, right? WG7, right? Or is that
Yeah.
You
Yeah, I think
have
so. Yeah.
you have Alan Growe's version, right? You have Joe Block has one, right?
Yeah.
You have
Yes, yes.
you have I like this one.
And
There's
then you have
Greyhawk Ruins. That's the second
Rob
edition one.
Kuhn's version, at least part of it, I think he did in. Yeah.
Dionysus, would you suggest anywhere getting it other than random roll 20? Yeah, what I would do is the following. Two things. I'll answer that question in a second here. So you have this one 2E, and there's really no plot to this. Kind of like it's just like the huge dungeon crawl. That one there's a plot to, and that's Eric Mona, Expedition to Ruins of Greyhawk. I've said this multiple
Yes.
times on shows. I like this. It kind of directs you, kind of, but not, and you go through specific spots of the ruins. So you get a taste of it, and you get into some key ones, but you don't have to crawl through the entire Ruins of Greyhawk to get this adventure done. So I like that one. But the cool thing is that you can take little bits of, say you want your adventures to hit a first level, take the Ruins of Greyhawk one, Greyhawk Ruins, and just have them on upper levels. You have a place for them to go adventuring in and to get loot, treasure, whatever. So it's a cool thing. And I don't know how we all just, well, it's on the map here. We kind of skipped over it, but it's a major point of reference in the campaign itself, for everything. So
Well, it's been the holy grail of adventures.
yes,
But it hasn't touched on me too much, I'm afraid. I've just never enjoyed the humorous stuff or the weird stuff or the very early style where you open a door and there's an orc sitting on a chest. That's just not my kind of game. So
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
the Greyhawk Ruins for me has been like that scene in Monty Python and the Holy Grail where they come to Camelot and they're all looking at it, and the one guy goes, "It's a silly place," and they all leave. They go somewhere else. And Greyhawk Ruins really doesn't touch it for me. But I'm trying to develop it more. I like stealing from stuff, so I plan on stealing part of it from Ruins of Undermountain. Those great big maps that are just big empty things to fill in, and I've got a development of an idea for how I want that to be, and so underneath the city, underneath the ruins, there's going to be this vast.
Well, only the first time it's happened tonight.
Yep.
First time.
Yeah.
So things are, it could be a bandwidth thing or whatever. Yeah, see, there he goes, Gary. So while he's off, so Dionysus, this is what I would suggest. Locally, if you want in person or you want to keep it to local, Meetup is actually not too bad. There's always Dungeons and Dragons groups on Meetup. So I would also get involved in some of the things that we have. You want to get involved in the Discord channel so you can start talking to people. And if Gary would ever give me a shout out, I'd have the other one on here, but he hasn't. So I only have the Greyhawk Online one because I haven't gotten what he want. So there you go. So there's a Discord hookup for Greyhawk Online, and the Greyhawk Online web page. And that's some good places too. But the cons are good, and we're planning a virtual Greyhawk Con in October, just in the works here. But there's a lot of other places. There's always something going on with someone. I know, like Phantom, you and Josh have hooked up a lot now, and you guys didn't know each other before meeting up on our sites. So there's a lot of things going on. Maybe So yeah, exactly. So you meet people. I met Anna. Anna's played in my game. Jason's played in my game. Just a lot of Josh has played in my game. Actually played in Brian's game. So we got a lot of crossovers going on. So Yeah, so always look at that, hop in, maybe get in. Zarathon is Josh, get in Josh's game. Dionysus, meet some cool people. There's a lot of opportunity, and that's the whole point of these discussions: is getting the Greyhawk community, keep it going here.
Oh
Keep,
yes,
you
it's
know.
on fire right now.
Yeah, I think so. I really, truly think so with that. So I wanted to answer that. Now, this one's a little more silly, but now, ready? We're going to have a little announcement from our newest sponsor. Hopefully I don't mess this up. This one's a little bit of more of a joke. Is it 13 or 14?
The right button again?
I gotta make sure I hit the right button.
Is that your new sponsor?
Yes.
Oh.
You miss your tongue?
Oh, gotcha.
Come by and see it sometime.
Oh man, that's just amazing.
Yep. That was the
Uh,
one. Yep.
so there you go. That is they call me Tim, guys, right on there right now. So we did not get a tongue ripped out, but he did a whole bunch of different ones. Yes,
Yeah.
we get to keep them. Yeah, that's right. I hope so. So we got a little bit of time here. What did I miss? I know I missed a couple of discussions here on points.
Well, there's so much around this area that we discussed with the Wild Coast. We were looking Wild Coast, we're looking north and everything, but let's see. I mean, just around Greyhawk City itself, the way.
Oh, it's wah wah wah.
Yep.
All right. So if you look at the map here, okay, you see there's Maynham Manor, Gynark's Manor, all these manors outside. Oh, go ahead, Jason.
Oh no, that's I mean, that might not seem a place for adventure, but especially for low level, it is a very handy. There's always troubles in these little towns, like Hamlet is the example, but all around the city of Greyhawk, there are farms and farm villages and taverns, and there's trade going on. There's thievery and bandits and corruption. We just had there's little outposts of evil and monsters that come into the area and that needs to be protected. So just around the city of Greyhawk itself, there is a whole world out there. But it's not like it's not the big knights and dragons world. It's the Hamlet world where you have farmers and farmers problems and tavern keepers and low-level traders. And if you're a low-level adventurer, that is a great place to adventure.
So, and as Bill just pointed out, always trouble in Diamond Lake, just like last night, which is another small community. And Bill, I think you missed it. We already talked about your favorite establishment of all time in Diamond Lake. We already talked about that with Sailing the Tickling Feather, and the mongrels and all the other things going on there. Absolutely, there's so many small little communities. Like which one has the Peculiar Manor? Has the Peat Brew? Is that it? Is it Peculiar Manor or one?
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah.
So there's all sorts of little cool tidbits thrown in all over the place. And like I said, if you have the Slavers reference and you want to do adventuring in the 6th range, yes, Bill's fixated. 6th, 7th range. And Hardby's the place to really go and do it because a lot of it is out of Hardby, like especially the part with Bright Tower Keep, which is supposed to be an outpost of Hardby that is in ruins. It's a cool one. And here's my messed up Slavers. It's within this. Also near that, they detail the 3 Slavers ships that are roaming the Woolly Bay. In here as well, the Eternal Sun, Longspan, and the Radiance, and they keep their sails normal, but when they're raiding into a coast, they turn their sails yellow. They change them to yellow, so that's in here as well. So there's some really neat things right outside of Hardby as well in this, and as you can see, I use it a lot. This one's falling apart. So, all right, see what we got here. Was a Rennie Prestige class. I've never seen that, Gaetano. Wow. Do you know where they are? I've never seen those Rennie classes. We're talking about third edition.
Yes, this is good. See, so far there's two things that right off the top that we haven't mentioned is the trade coming down the Velverdiva. That is this international trade, and then the Rennie. We haven't delved into this incredible race of people that they are an amazing source for building up your character, a base, or an enemy. The Rennie are a very interesting trading folk that sail on barges all across this area. Now, I'm trying to remember whether it was Divers or Hardby that was they wanted to have a settlement. I forgot where that was mentioned.
I think it's
one
Divers.
of those.
I don't think it's Hardby.
Divers?
Yeah, I really don't think it's Hardby with that.
No, it's Divers then.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was writing an adventure where there was a three-way conflict between the Rennie in my campaign. The real rulership is the eldest, most powerful woman of the Rennie, who is a diviner. She tells the future, casts the bones, reads the cards, and she is the real leader, but she's the leader behind a powerful.
And he's going. Now, he's having some problems now connecting. All right, so what I do for Rennie is, if you know Timothy S. Brannon, he makes some great witch classes up. So I have a witch. I have his one old school first edition witch, which is like $5 on Drive Through RPG. It's cheap. It's fantastic. I use that witch with Rennie, or can use that witch class in even with a multi-class option, like a witch thief or something like that, and it works very well. So consider that as a way also, in addition to these specialty classes, which I'd love to take a look at. So Jason zonked on. Is you back yet? He's still out. So Gary Kirstum saying it was going so well.
Yeah.
So any comments on the Rennie? I know some people say Renee, Anna, but I say Rennie. So
well, pronunciation's always difficult.
Yeah, nice rock singing a nice Cher song there, Gypsies, Tramps, and Thieves. I think that was the #1 song in 1972. Now I don't know why I know that.
There is some in the Gord books. There is some detail on the Rennie culture. It's very minor, but it's there.
Oh yeah, it's there, and the Atloy, their land based cousins, so to speak. So
we went right over that, Gary. We went right over Tenser's Castle too. Yeah. So.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk much about it, but it's Mage Point and Tenser Castle, and if you read the Gord books, they're detailed somewhat in there, and they visit it.
I was going to do a Gabbin on Circle of 8 Mages then and now. I thought that would be a good point to do something like that in detail.
Yeah.
And do them all. And then we can talk about each one, even Lehman's and all the other ones. I thought that would be a cool one to do down the road. So I think we'll hit that one up at that point for Tensors. But it's a cool place. And it's detailed a little bit in Return of the Eight. Right, there's a little bit of detail in Return
and
of the Eight,
in the Gord
books.
Yeah, I think it's
probably
I think
better.
It's the second one. Yeah, there is even an illustration in the Gord books. I think it's for the second one, the Artifact of Evil. I think it's that one, where they have it's actually a sketch. I think it's Clyde Caldwell. I might be mistaken.
Caldwell did those.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think he did it. And there's a sketch of it. Really cool. It looks both fantasy and futuristic in one go. So it's kind of really cool.
Thank you for so Seeker. Thank you for that. And that was DM. That was a great joke. So thank you. So trying to think.
That
was a good one. Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry I faded out there. I was just saying about the Rennie. That it's one of the things I've started to flesh out is a Rennie adventure around Divers, where they're forming a settlement and there's a conflict between this young powerful warrior and the old warrior who was the lead man, and behind the scenes is the elder woman who really runs everything for the Rennie. And they all turn to her. They have to get her approval before they can do anything, and she's the diviner, the one who sees into the future. And it's a chance for me to flesh out the Rennie culture, and also to have the players perhaps become part of it.
There's still a mystery in a lot of places, Jason. So to
Oh,
see the culture fleshed out would be good.
Well, the whole world. I mean, you have to understand, when I flesh something out, I can change it in an instant to something else. I don't believe in having things that are so set in stone. Now, I try to have a consistency per campaign, but after 40 years, I'm on my 5th major campaign. So I'm throwing the kitchen sink into this one. So, like the way the Rennie are for this campaign, I might decide later on that they're nothing like that. I have a different idea. But this campaign, this is what I'm going to do. And hopefully people can see what I've done and get some kind of, oh, I hate that, I want to do something different. Or I love that and I want to steal it. So I hope to get some kind of reaction from anything I create. And the second thing I wanted to bring up was the trade down the Velverdiva. That is, it's coming from the Backloonish all the way down from Ket. So there's this river traffic going up and down the Velverdiva, and all the way down to hitting divers and eventually in Greyhawk. So one of the things I was doing was coming up with a price list for monster parts from Verbabog, that the hunters would be able to go out and find these things and what they would sell for in Verbabog and what they would sell for in Greyhawk, the city of Greyhawk, or what they'd sell for in divers. So that if you're adventuring, you can go out and possibly like find a rare animal or monster and get the parts to the dealer as quick as you can. So that itself could be an adventure. From my days when I was fooling around with Knights of the Dinner Table, and they would do these, the characters would do these monster hunt adventures when the DM ran out of ideas.
Yeah, because there's always spell components, and there's always potion alchemy, parts and stuff. That's
yeah,
cool.
They did a series of monster books for Hackmaster, and it is a 8-volume set that has price lists in it. So it's a good foundation of monster parts. What you need for magical components and what they're worth. I have to apologize. My voice is going tonight,
It's okay,
and I'm
man.
stalling quite a bit.
That's okay, man. It's okay. You didn't crash off. So this was a lot. I mean, we went over a lot tonight, guys, including adding the Gnarly, which is a huge area on itself, which probably deserves that. The Welkwood and the Northern Swiss probably deserve their own their own show.
Yeah.
So, and we're gonna have one of those next week, and I'll get it. I'll show you what's coming. So, and anything in closing here you'd like to say, and then do some shout outs.
No, I wait for the shout outs and have some news and stuff there. So,
okay,
yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Jason, anything in closing in this discussion in this area? I know you said it's rich.
Oh, well, I mean, it is so. It is just, you look left, you look right, north, south, there is adventure all around. And in the city of Greyhawk, you can run a solid campaign in there for years. This area, it is amazingly rich. And it is bound only by your imagination. And as like Anna is pointing out, these areas on the map, they look close, but this is a big area to it for people who are going by horse or by foot. This is just such a amazing. The whole area is amazing. The Wild Coast and the environs of Greyhawk. This is more adventure than you can do in a lifetime.
True, and we've trust me, we have 3 groups in Hardby, at least 4 in Greyhawk, right? At least. Plus, I got like 7 or 8 adventuring groups, counting my kids group in these 2 cities. There's so much content you can do. Plus, when we like doing some one-offers, I like last night I brought in the 611 Greyhawk Triad members. Their name of the group was Cannon Fodder, and we started them right in Greyhawk City and took them right. Yes, Canon, not with 2 N's. Yeah, yeah. I took them right out to Diamond Lake for some mongrel fun last night, which we all had a blast on. So there's a ton of content and things you can come up with in this area, and I'm so glad that we were able to get a lot of great data out there. So learning a lot. So don't worry about voice. Great, cool, Cuthbert. Thanks. So I saw Dungeon Tomb says love this map. Well, I posted Anna's Patreon down there, which you do all the
Yeah.
time. It's the best $5 a month you can spend because Anna, go
Thank
ahead.
you.
Why don't you talk about what you've just have happening right now?
Well, yeah, the big thing coming, I just posted today. So the final version of the the revision of the 576 map is up in JPEG version. Might be other versions coming, but the revisions, the difference between the full edition and the revision is that the revision will come gradually and fill in the blanks here and there. In addition, then I'll sit down and do PDF, JPEG, online version, etc., etc. But revision, I just update the work a bit to use. And the main use for the upcoming is for the Atlas, the 576 Atlas. And if you go to my Patreon now and look at the latest post, you can get a good glimpse of what the Atlas will look like, because I've done the layout proposal and an idea of how his page spread will look like. And I think it's some of the coolest fantasy Atlas to date.
Just incredible.
Yeah, I've used the main 2 inspirations for this is the Atlas of Kalamar, that is from that was actually for D&D 3rd edition. So this is by Kenser and Company, and this one came out like, was it like 10-12 years ago or something like that?
Kenser's Knights at the Dinner Table too, right there.
Yeah. This one is printed in 2002, so it's like 18 years old, and this one is really cool. It has some really cool features. I don't like the actual maps much because they're fairly useless. They just show topography and basically nothing else. No forests, no idea what the terrain actually looks like or climate or anything like that. But as a fantasy atlas is a very interesting concept. So I've taken some ideas and stuff from this one, and I've also used a lot of inspiration from the Rand McNally Road Atlas, because there's a lot of similarities. The Rand McNally Road Atlas is supposed to guide you in traveling the real world, the real North America, real world North America. And now I want my maps to be the same for DM and an adventuring group to guide them around the Flannies. So I've taken these 2 are some of my main inspirations, and then I want to style it so people can kind of feel at home just in how I style maps. And thanks to a lot of input from my patrons the last month or so, we're starting to nail down the features, and it will come with a whole bunch of references, and it will be probably about 100 pages or so, and the format will be 11 by 17. And it will come in PDF and JPEG formats, and it will come with a bleed built into the PDFs. So you can actually the idea is that you take these PDFs to a printer, and then you can print it and spiral bound it and bind it and make your own version of the atlas and have it printed. So that's the idea of this, that you can print it either the whole shebang in one go, you can just print the parts you want and put it into a spiral bound or whatever kind of bound you want, so to speak. So I think it will be cool. It's going to be a beefy project, and I will have need some help on, and I've had people signing up to help me by doing all the referencing. So there will be a complete list of all the settlements on the map. So you can actually look with the and so you can look up and see where things are. The people have demanded that for years, and now is the time to do it. So we will build and it will have like a grid reference on top of it, just like the Rand McNally Atlas have. So you can look at the page, or you can look at the index in the end, and you can then you can find what page and what square the actual, and I will use the same reference. So each map spread will have like a square grid with like A and A to F to G, I think it is, and 1 to 10, and then you can see which of these squares, and there will be a list of all the settlements on each spread, and a mini map and a whole bunch of stuff. So, but if you go to my Patreon and look at it, you can take a look at what the page will look like. It's not there will be a few more tweaks before it's done, but you can get a good sense of what it will look like. So that's the big thing that I will work on then probably next 6 months or so before it's done. So I will not wait 6 months and then you get all the pages. I will make 1 or 2, probably hopefully a couple of pages per week until it's done, and that way I will release them as they're being made, because that way people can kind of check on the content, and I will release one kind of a test page first and let people kind of criticize the hell out of it. That's my usual. I want to have all you guys fans, Greyhawk fans, to be my quality control group. So tell me what's wrong, what needs to be better, and normally after a little bit of yelling and screaming from a few people, we can get kind of a general consensus what works for most people. That's where I want my mapping project to be. So I want a large amount of Greyhawk gamers to have a reasonably good use for it, so to speak. You can't please everyone, because we all want our campaign version. Even the public version doesn't even is sufficient for me, because I have my own campaign version of the map. And that's the other thing that we're going to have in a Legend, Lore, or Gabbin, probably more Gabbin or something in the future, where we discuss Jay and we can discuss our campaigns or something like that one Sunday, or have a seminar at something and discuss it. So that is one of the other kind of thing. But that's one project. The other project that is underway is the mapping the world, so to speak. Oh,
Well,
thank you, Bishop. Yeah.
That's amazing, Anna. Does that?
which one were you laughing at, Jason?
I'm laughing at Anna's. That's amazing. Those projects, they are world-shaking projects.
Thank you. But
oh my God,
yeah. But I have one advantage compared to a lot of others. This is my day job to do this now. So thanks to my patrons and commissions and stuff like that, I can actually sit, and thanks to my husband and the situation overall, that is kind of good. I'm old enough to have worked previously, and I don't have any kids to send through college and stuff. So I'm in that situation that I can actually don't have to have a huge income, and I can actually sit and do this full time. So, and my patrons are the key to do this, because now I have 249. So we have to figure out what we do when we reach 250. But so that means that I can spend at least a significant amount of my week or of my time to actually sit and do Greyhawk maps and then release them for free. That's the idea. So the other big project, apart from the Atlas, is to map the planet of Earth and to map it down. That's why I'm moving into climate and a whole bunch of other stuff. So the basic continental layout is starting to come into shape. So I think in a couple of weeks I have to make a kind of a first presentation of that. So when I have the first spread of the Atlas done and stuff, I will probably take a week off the Atlas project and kind of do a first kind of thorough look at and present what I think could be a cool model of the planet for future for the gaming, so to speak, because we need kind of a basic reference to go by, and when I have that, then we can go in and detail. And my idea is not to detail every part of the planet, because I can go on for decades doing that. But there are a bunch of really cool tools coming out that will make this from just being a pipe dream to actually being possible to do. So there is a bunch of stuff. That's why I now want to do Atlas and some other stuff while I'm getting these things are in beta right now. I have Dunes is a new tool coming out, and I have Gaia is another one that been on the alpha team for a while, and now it's beta. And these tools are super cool, and they make it possible to map on a planetary scale. with enormous detail, and so I'm really stoked. But they're not. It's too early. They're not ready yet, and that's why I want to. I was hoping they would be ready by now, but we all know that things are delayed thanks to pandemics and a
Yeah.
bunch of other stuff. So and usually software projects. So that's something that I might be able to start doing in fall. But in order to kind of start that mapping, I want to have, and I want to, as many of you guys out there to have a chance to figure out what you like and tell me the feedback, say, no, this doesn't match anything. Because if we have something that a large amount of the community can think is a cool idea, then we should start moving in and detail it. So that's a project for future. And then we have the city of Greyhawk. That's another project for the future too. So yeah.
Oh, these are so monumental. People, I just hope everybody understands that this atlas is a game changer. This is just you're going to be.
Yeah, I hope it will be the best fantasy atlas for any game setting or fantasy
That's
setting
awesome.
to date. That's the scope of the project. And thankfully, I have the maps already, thanks to all you guys helping me, supporting me for 2 decades. So we have that to go on. Now it's just making it into a form that could fit to be printed in a book. That's the idea.
You just got your 250th from Gary there, so.
Okay, thank you. Awesome. Thank you,
Hey,
Gary.
Gary, that's great.
Wow,
Yeah.
thank you. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to do anything with Castle Greyhawk though. So we got a lot of other pressing needs
Yep.
beside that. But,
Yeah, so
Yep.
that's the what's on. So it's a long slog of doing the atlas, but the good thing is it will come out in installments. So we don't have to wait 6 months before we can see the first of it. So that's the good thing. So there will be like a test spread or test page probably coming out in a couple of weeks, and then we take a look at it and see what kind of minor tweaks and things need to be changed. And in the meantime, we can work on how to divide up the continent into 100 pages roughly, and that will be it. And also think about what other additional pages need, what kind of political maps and stuff like that to be, because they need to be researched, they need to be produced and then put into the book. So that's this is kind of an interesting project. Yeah.
Yeah, Gary, it's the best $5 a month you'll spend. Trust me.
Yes.
From day one. So immediately.
Yep. Thank you.
Thanks for all that information. That is so fantastic as we continue to move forward with a lot of things going on in Greyhawk, and we'll keep on talk about a couple more of them shortly. But Jason, what do you got going on there, man?
All right. Well, immediately I'm doing a list of all the artifact and named items that I've indexed
For Wednesday.
So hopefully I'll have that out for tomorrow, and then I need to get back to my Gazette, Blackmoor, Land of 1,000 Witches.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And then I have been so intrigued by Gary Hollian's Spine Castle that I've done. I did a little work to create a list of languages from the first edition books, and that is to give me a base for gnolls, and then right up. There's a very big, important in the ruins of Spine Castle, this group of gnolls that runs part of the city, and they interact with the necromancers that I'm detailing. So I've had such fun with that I've been building the characters. I'm going to build their dwellings. I want to build the gnolls they interact with, the characters that they are. I have a good picture of a gnoll to use. And then, like I said, I have tons of other stuff that I swing back and forth, like the Rene adventure, detailing the Rene. My Sul barbarians are not Sul barbarians. They're displaced Vikings, and they've got their own gods displaced with them. They have the 3 brothers, Wotan, Vili, and Ve. And they have the whole pantheon of Norse gods, slightly changed for Greyhawk, and that's also one of the things that I'm very intrigued and energized to create. But I don't know what will be next after that. It just whatever crosses my mind, I guess.
Well, if you're going to run a game too, that'll be cool.
I really want to. I do need to get some help.
Yep.
on the technological side, as you can see.
Well, the good thing is that the Discord freak Josh is around Zarathon, so he is cranking up things too. Oh, Phantom with a nice thank you with a gift tier sub for Enoch. And you guys probably all you guys who haven't want to re-up your subs because we have a giveaway this Thursday coming. So you want to do it because it's subscribers don't even have to be on to win. You guys should know that. And we got a new product.
Gary won pink dice.
Gary won. I think Gary won pink dice. Geek Dice won pink dice. Yes,
Yep.
yeah, they all won pink dice. So yeah, Jason, there's going to be plenty of technical people around that can really help you set up Discord, and I think that Josh is the one to go to because he was a tech person for Discord for GaryCon. So yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I'm glad she loves them, Gary. That's awesome, man. Makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside. But the gifts I give are being utilized, which is fantastic. So, Jason, thank you, man. Thank you for that, too. All right. You guys ready for what's coming up?
Definitely.
Multi-streaming is multicam's easy. Next, I can help you out with that. No problem. All right. So, Wednesday. Do I have it here? We've already been talking about it. Episode 50. All right, so this is going to be just like my Gabbin 50. This one has no time limit, okay? So if we go late, we go late because to celebrate the 50th show of Legends and Lore.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's from 8 to whenever we finish. On this one on Wednesday night. Yeah. Just like Gabbin. Gabbin 50 went 4.5 hours. It was crazy. So episode 50 on Legends of Lore will Mike may not like that, but that's okay. That's okay. So yes, I think you said Jason, you already have 500 artifacts or named.
Well, no, I'm trimming that down. I have 560 items. Out of them, there are going to be the artifacts and name things that I listed as an item in the index, but I'm pulling them all up.
Yes, yeah. Artifacts is our discussion for, and Jason came up with this idea. So it's going to be the three of us and Greyhawk Mike on Legends and Lore on Wednesday to have this discussion.
But just the artifact. There's so much in Greyhawk Adventures. There's artifacts all through these various things.
Dungeon Master's Guide.
But the Dungeon Master's Guide. Those are the archetypal artifacts for Greyhawk. Each one of them could practically be an entire show.
Yeah. So this may lead to other shows, but we're going to have some fun with this one. So that is Wednesday night, 8 p.m. That's the only show that starts at 8 out of all our shows. EADT is Legends and Lore. So that is that, and then we go to Thursday night, and we finish on the Trail of the Flower. They fought the Princess Highwaymen. They fought a bunch of Norkers. They're kind of getting led by their noses right to their own slaughter as they're weakened, and now they're going to have to deal with this spy / bounty hunter. And that is Thursday night. We will finish adventure number 878. And then move on to something else, a new one the week after. Nothing on Saturday like this week, but okay. Here's what I have for Gabbin next week, and you will kick his butt, Bill. We shall see. Gabbin number 93. I'm going to ask a special person to come on the show. He doesn't know it yet, but we're going to. Yes, because Gabbin, we're going to do the Pomarge, Sus, and Ulick border. We're going to talk about that area.
That's really your home turf.
That is, yeah.
Yes, but I want Joe Block to come on for his article, Enter the Pomarge and Die, right?
See the Pomarge.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I want him. Yes, so I want him to come on, and we almost got into it a little bit on the Wild Coast one. But there's some areas in the Sus we didn't talk about as well, and we can go up the Sus if we go into the Walkwood, so be it. But I'm going to try and get Joe on for this because he's got a lot of data on this one. So we're going to do that next Sunday. Okay, everyone cool with that? I hope so. Now, The next Saturday night special event, we kind of we were talking and we're like, Memorial Day weekend's a bad time to do this because we may actually have, it's my anniversary weekend. Plus, we got some. We may have people may start doing barbecues again, even if they're distancing. It's going to be happening. So we pushed this back 1 week to the week after May 30th, back to Tim City State, Saturday, May 30th. 7 p.m. Okay, so that's our next. We had last night. I was up till 3 o'clock in the morning, guys, and I'm feeling it now from that adventure last night, which was great. But our next one will be on our next Saturday night special. Tim will be EMing, and then I'm going to have one right the week after this. And he's not on tonight, but I'm probably going to have the cast of Blue Box RPG doing a Greyhawk adventure to get them into the Greyhawk world. Yes, so we'll have that the week Saturday after. So I'll have back to back because this got pushed back 1 week. And then the Greyhawk Con is still in. Yes, thank you. The Greyhawk Con is still being worked on, and we're going to have that in October, first weekend in October, come hell or high water. And I've talked over with people, and I don't care. I want to call it Virtual Greyhawk Con. And if they tell us to not call it that anymore, then I won't call it that. But I want to call it that to start right off. So, yes. And Josh's Con of Champs in 2 weeks. It's that weekend, Josh. So it's my anniversary weekend. And my wife, if I would push back Tim's a week and then I do Con of Champions, then I really get my ass thrown out the door. Right. So So unfortunately, I can't participate in the Con of Champs that weekend. But there's a lot of people who can. Yes, Greg, what happened was Brian couldn't make it and Bill was, it's Mother's Day. And I really needed my 3D printer guy. I need both of them. I was going to do it from my basement. We will do one. I gotta do it when they're both available. Cause these guys, these artist types, they're a little pretentious. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. I know.
Yeah. So it's tough to get them on at the same time. So that's what happened. Go ahead.
This is dream stuff here. I mean, I just dream about these miniatures. This setup is unbelievable.
Yes,
you gotta talk about that. It's just these guys have done miracles, I'll tell you.
Yeah, so hopefully I don't get thrown into Leesburg State Prison down the shore there, Gary, by doing that, because I drive by that for so many years going down to the Wildwood area. I really don't want to get thrown into there. But yeah, as Bill said, he sure is. So we had a nice one tonight. But Greg, we will get to that one, I promise. Plus, we can help you out with any questions you may have. And guys, you can always reach me, where all the Discord channels or on any of my sites. And I appreciate you guys all hanging in there. Look at that. Even went 15 minutes late. So, oh, cool, Pat. Thank you. Blue Box says hi. Well, Blue Box is going to be playing in a game of mine within a month, so on a Saturday night, and it's going to be awesome in Greyhawk. I'm not sure where yet. But we're going to talk about that because he's going to start a campaign in Greyhawk and he's going to start a campaign in my Greyhawk. So we'll be able to do some crossovers, some NPC sharing. It'll be cool. So thank you all. Great one again. Anna, thank you. Loved it.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yes, and Jason, thank you for all your input.
My pleasure. I love doing it.
Crossovers are awesome, Gaetano, aren't they? Yes. So we'll see you all Wednesday. 2 days off. I need a mental break with real life work coming up here, but have fun. And is there anyone on? Let me just see. Let me go to the screen here while we chat over this. There. Okay, cool. Dun 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 dun. So Zambies and Just Isis are dual streaming. Tabletop. I'm talking to myself.
Oh.
Yeah, Dionysus, that's good. I'm glad to see that you got a connection here, which is great. So the community is very welcoming. All right, you guys want to do? Yeah, Zambies is a good painter, but Zambies is really not a follower of this channel, Bill, but Dices is. So, and they're doing a dual stream, so I'm going to grade into Dices. So, Right around there, Gary. It was very steady tonight, and it was fantastic. Probably 132, 134. And so we're gonna raid into just ISIS, okay, guys? Like I said, if you do it, rating speed. Let me see if I can get this without. Probably get another 35 to 40 in here. Hit the right button, Jay. Starting it up. Now I set this to a new button there, so cool, man. Yeah, Gary, I'm gonna hop on a little bit after I get all my dirty work done that I gotta do. Oh, almost 40. That's awesome, guys. That's a nice, healthy number. All right, I'm gonna hit the raid button and we're gonna head over. See you guys soon. See you Wednesday. Beautiful. Channel. Did it work?
I think so. Yeah.